Hello and welcome to 724 Politics. The Oyo State Independent Electoral Commission has announced April 27, 2024 as the day for the local government elections. We're here in the studio today to look at the issues around the local government election and how we can combat voter apathy, particularly from the aspect of socio-cultural organization. I have joining me in the studio Comrade Jare Ajayi, the Publicity Secretary, Afenifere. Thanks for joining us on the program, Comrade Ajayi.
It's my pleasure being here. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Now, don't they say all politics is local? And we know that the Afenifere would always want to influence the direction of politics because politics defines social order. How come we don't have Afenifere being involved in local government elections, particularly in Oyo State? That's what we observed, though.
Well, let me start by making a little modification.
Please.
Yeah, Afenifere does not really exist basically for political agitation.
Okay.
I see. Afenifere is a socio-cultural and socio-political organization.
Okay.
But the fact that some people try to confine it to politics was what caused some kind of problem that we had in 2022, 2023, particularly 2023. So that needs to be stated. Afenifere, which is why it's not all the people in Afenifere that are politicians, let alone be in a single political party. So Afenifere, I'm repeating, is a socio-cultural and socio-political organization open to all Yorubas.
In simple terms, Afenifere is about the well-being, wellness, and advancement of the Yoruba interests, the Yoruba people. So when we talk about advancement of Yoruba interest, well-being of Yoruba people, governance takes a strategic role.
Sure.
And during federal elections, we've seen Afenifere's name being thrown around to influence the direction of things. But we don't seem to have that happening at the local government level in any of the southwest states in recent years. Why is that so?
Thank you very much. Again, it needs to be emphasized that we are conscious of one fact and one reality about life. So many things that human beings need, as either as an individual or as a corporate body. For you to be able to get those things, you need some political instruments, which is why at any point in time, Afenifere does not distance itself from political reality around it.
Yes.
Around it, I mean, in the community, in the society.
Yeah.
Because we know that divorcing yourself from what goes on in government or in politics generally means that someone wanting life more abundant for the people, you are not likely to be able to realize them.
True.
So if we say we are for the welfare of the people, we want life more abundant for the people, how do we get it? Politics, partition politics is not necessarily our main force. That is why when it comes to local situations in Yoruba land, we normally leave that one for the people in the particular setting. The issue we are discussing today has to do with the local government election coming up on April 7, April 27 in Oyo State specifically. This should be for our members who are in Oyo State, and they are very conscious. Of course, we will let them know, I mean at the national level, that people are expectant. People look up to being sensitized, being mobilized, to be able to come out and not just exercise their franchise, to be able to cast their foot for those who they believe are likely to bring positive change into their lives. I'm happy and glad about one thing that this station, 724, seem to preoccupy itself with. We call something development journalism, as you know. A situation where you look at issues to correct what is perceived to be wrong in the society, or to bring about some things that if are probably not yet popular or known in the society, but are likely to change the society for the better. The little of 724 that I have observed goes along that line.
Thank you.
And it's something that should be not just applauded but encouraged. And I want you to continue along that line.
Thank you. Afenifere is no doubt interested in the political process.
Sure.
And you and I are on common ground in the specifics of communities needing to own governance,
Yeah.
because local government is closest to the people. That's where most of our efforts should have been pumped.
Sure.
As we read about how our fathers managed the movement in the earlier days, they were community-based.
Yeah, sure.
It was not even ward now, we are talking about house to house. That was how Afenifere socio-cultural group movement started. How come in present times it's now looking more like we're more focused on the federal rather than the community? But we're actually talking about community mobilization here.
Yes.
Yeah, we know there are lots of imperfections with governance. We'll talk about that someday. But today we want to talk about community apathy. The ANC was taken seriously in South Africa because they were able to mobilize communities. Afenifere at inception was taken very seriously. Egbe Omodudua, even though he started in London, while they were still in London, they already had their representatives and foot soldiers there mobilizing towards political ideologies, political directions. So what we're saying is that it seems as if our people are leaderless today now, in terms of somebody who is going to articulate a political stance for them that they can all queue behind and they can chew on and begin to debate. So what we're saying is that why are we tiring out as Afenifere? Why do we seem to be tiring out at the community level in terms of sensitization, conscientization, mobilization of the people at the grassroots, especially for local government governance, not just election now, local government governance?
As I mentioned a little bit earlier, because some people now try to make Afenifere to straight jacketing it into pure political party. Up till this moment, there's still that argument. Whereas even if we reverse, if we move back to those areas at the time we mentioned, Afenifere was not being presented per se as a political party. It was a mobilizer.
Yes.
Sensitizing the people.
Yes.
That's even one of the areas where it was not exactly the same thing as ANC. As a matter of fact, if ANC started to get independence for people in South Africa,
yes,
but
for
again,
black people.
So as we come back quickly to to inspire.
Please permit me to interject.
Yes.
Electoral process began a year ago.
Okay.
And election is just one unit of the entire system, of the entire process.
Yes.
One would expect that voter education should include not only who to vote for or monitoring governance after election, but even in terms of how to police the process.
Good. Thank you. We are aware of these things that you talked about. Don't forget that if you go to meet somebody, maybe to come into something, let us do this thing. If he doesn't pronounce it, it must be there that this is what is in it for me, kind of. Yes, come out, vote, and participate in the electoral process. Towards what end? Maybe the question. If you want to go and you want to achieve results, you must already be prepared for that. Whether they ask that question or not, while you are introducing the subject to them, discussing with them, bring it out. So we realize that when you are mobilizing people to come out, at the back of their minds will be, what's in it for me? What's in it for me does not necessarily mean stomach infrastructure.
Yeah.
No,
their
in terms of exactly in terms of
socio-economic interest.
Exactly.
How will it be addressed?
How will it be addressed? But years in, year out, addressing those things kept declining. Chances for addressing them kept on declining. And ironically, even in the face of greater resources being available.
I must come in.
Okay.
You know, because it's very important for us to streamline the conversation.
All right.
The people seem to be lackadaisical, maybe uncaring as to what happens at the local government level. And you and I know that anywhere in the world where sustainable development is taking place, the interventions, the initiative usually begins from the local government sector. Of course, there are global issues that the federal government will address. And there are some community issues that the state governors and the state government would be the best to address. But most issues, 70% of the issues that pertain to the individual, regarding what's a need for me that you talked about, are things that local government should be addressing. They're the closest to the people. And we're not just saying this. The reality is that that's what it is. And that's what governance
is all about.
So should it be difficult for you to convince people that it's in their best interest to be actively involved in local government governance?
It's still too with Afia. And I'll start from this angle. I want to use this opportunity to appeal to people to come out. Even those who may not, for whatever reason, want to vote directly, they should go out and encourage their neighbors and so on and so forth. The Yorubas will say, you should show interest in who is in control. That way
of your community.
Of your community.
Directly.
Yes. Yes, they have a lot of inhibitions at the moment because they have been emasculated at the state level, particularly. But for us to be able to win things, to get liberated from the apple string of the state government, we have to be there, we have to keep on agitating. And if you are not there, you will not be able to agitate effectively. You will not even be able to know how to articulate those things.
What we're talking about is not even about you voting on election day. It's not a clamor that go out and vote for your preferred candidate.
It's much more.
We're saying get involved in the process. The electioneering process, which preludes election day and post-election activities, governance. You know, because you've mentioned just one of the major impediments, which is many state governors across the nation and across political divides tend to hamstring the local government and the local government chairman, and in many instances, local government administration. And we say that the reason is because our people are today's people. Yesterday's people were not this.
Oh, definitely.
Today's people seem to be
lackadaisical.
I didn't want to say indifferent. Lackadaisical is more like the word about local government administration. That's not. I'm finding chop for my family.
Some will even say, whatever you do, whatever it is, they already made up their mind.
So they've given up, and that's why we're saying that our people need to be led, you know, in the right direction, though. And you wouldn't expect politicians to lead the people towards utopia.
Towards what will liberate them.
Yes, I mean, it's normal. Every human being would always pursue self-interest. So which brings us to traditional rulers, civic fora, and sociocultural
organizations.
And sociocultural organizations like the Afenifere, who have the loudest voice, I must say. Out of all the Yoruba sociocultural organizations, we would say the Afenifere has the loudest voice. And that's why we think that they should be at the vanguard, at the forefront of this community sensitization, galvanization, mobilization, to show active interest in what happens at the local government level. And that's why I'm particular about what the Afenifere is doing at the moment.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. When I started answering this aspect of the question that you asked, I said there are two levels. That of the people, and you should come out, is when they are there, or when they are on the field, so to say, mobilizing, talking to their neighbors and so on, that they will be able to make demands and so on and so forth. The other aspect of it is this. Those who are at the helm of affairs, particularly at the state level, they may want to say, people, we have called out people, we give the State Independent Electoral Commission free hand and so on and so on. People should come out. We're using this opportunity to let them know that let local government count, let local government operate. That will encourage people to give away the apathy, the attitude they have. If local government is working well, it will even be to the pride of the governor.
On paper. I must interject again.
Okay.
We've been preaching to various governments at the federal, at the state level for more than 3 decades.
Okay.
Rather than get better,
it's
getting worse. So isn't it time for Afenifere to have a change of strategy? in terms of its community engagement activities?
I like this. Yeah, where I must really thank you
Thank
for
you,
bringing that in. Any kind of button, as our people, as our fathers and mothers would say, we want to take it to be a kind of suggestion, a proposition that yes, Afenifere, in view of what we are having now, organizations like human beings should be dynamic.
True.
At any point in time, you look at what the reality and then come up with design, the tactics, the methodology that will, again, our fathers will say, Ajayi wo yilo mo, Iguro wo yile. So, yes, we are going to into a drawing board, study the situation more, with the ability, I mean, with the intention of coming up with, with what we think will be able to tackle this main problem. But as I said before, please take note of this. We are aware that there are so many things, systemic issues hindering the people from being active participants in their own affairs.
True.
Which is why we come up with this issue of restructuring. It's embedded in it. We are going to, it does look like we have not articulated it enough for people to really know what exactly we mean and to go into the field.
People know what you mean. I mean, Afenifere doesn't operate its ideology in secrecy.
Yeah.
And your advocacy for restructuring is going to injure the interest of some people, some geographical group of people who, incidentally, on paper, are the majority. So you and I know there are legal proviso that all of that must pass through.
Yeah.
And we're not saying you should give up because of the obstacles and impediments in your way, but we're saying while that agitation is ongoing, we seem to have neglected community synchronization, engagement, mobilization, education. And that's why I asked, isn't it about time for Afenifere to have a change of strategy? For example, Afenifere seems to be seen more to be partisan these days, to be taking sides with political figures. Maybe that's why, maybe that's why a lot of people don't tend to give it the kind of recognition they gave it 40 years ago. Maybe that's why, pardon me, but maybe that's why many people don't want to take Afenifere seriously as much as they did 3-4 decades ago. 3-4 decades ago, if Afenifere says everybody should sit at home, they don't need to threaten. Do you understand? Yeah. But now it's like, you know. So, and that's why we're saying, some of us are saying, isn't it about time for a change of strategy to begin to redirect focus and resources on stimulating the community, you know, bringing them back up to speed in terms of their political consciousness?
Yeah, thank you very much. When I said I made the allusion to restructuring, the component of it earlier, it's part of it, and that's why I say that aspect of it, we should bring it out.
Who are the we?
I'm in Afenifere. Remember, I thanked you earlier that you drew our attention to that aspect.
Yes.
That if we are able to be doing that and people seeing us doing it and doing it effectively, it will bring back the old glory, those halcyon days we are talking about Afenifere.
Okay.
But more importantly, it will change the situation in our in the society for the better. And that's the ultimate aim.
Because the people need to be led.
Yes.
And the reality, the socio-political reality presently is that Yorubas are rudderless. Let's be plain about what we're saying.
Okay.
People want an organ that they can follow, that they can trust. That this, yes, everybody will still maintain their various political affiliation. Yes. But in terms of the destination, in terms of the Yoruba purpose, in terms of the Yoruba agenda, political agenda, people will say, if we follow these people, or if we follow this person, we cannot stumble. Yeah. We won't end up in a ditch. But right now, that is not happening. In those days, as we read in the history books, we used to have volunteers for political parties. But we don't have any such again. What we have now, political agents who want to be paid heavily for the job. And that's where we think some of the civic organizations need to come in, to galvanize people, to work for the community, pro bono, volunteers who will be involved in the electoral process?
In this kind of situation, civil-based organizations, some public-spirited individuals have works to do, including people like us who are in this.
But who is going to organize them? They need somebody to lead them, to organize them.
So that every stage of the process needs to be monitored, to be observed, and when things is about to go wrong,
raise their voice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's why when I say we don't just leave them to it, we must keep a watch.
That's why we're having a conversation.
Yeah, you're good enough. I mean, that's why you remember I praised the 724 earlier on. It is even when the umpires know that they are being watched at every stage that they will be able to sit up.
Because
they will know that everything you are doing, you are being closely monitored. That this should be part of the information we are living this program today. One, we are calling on the people. Do not sit down, look. Do not play the ostrich. Do not do kokami. Because the price to be paid later will be far, far greater. So that's for the people. We're calling on the umpire to remember that everything a person does goes into history. History is being written about them. They are setting records. Therefore, they should do it the way it's meant to be done. And then, of course, those who are the authority at the moment should remember that no condition is permanent. Whatever they do, also they are writing history. It's better that history will record them to say that during Lagbaja's tenure, we have freest and more participatory election. If all of them can do this, but beyond the election, the things that will allow those who come out, who come victorious, who will become victorious at the election, the thing that will enable them to deliver for the people must be provided. And it is not necessarily, does not necessarily have to come from the pocket of the state government anyway. These are things that are statutorily for the local government.
Their allocation.
Yes, please let them breathe. Please let them go. Let them have their resources.
Now, when you talked about all the stakeholders, you've talked about the government, at the state level, you've talked about the electoral umpires, you've talked to the electorate, but there is a significant stakeholder that you didn't touch upon. I don't know if it's deliberate, but I will mention it. All over the world, democratic processes are deepened by a very viral opposition.
Even the institutions where there are oppositions, where we have what we call strong opposition. And strong, in inverted comma, means opposition parties that are always making noise, that are always talking and all that. Not necessarily
maybe not making noise.
No, I will come to
constructive engagement with the process.
Yeah, I understand. And
actively engaging.
There's a need for it because I'm a Democrat myself.
Yeah. So
I'm not saying that it should not be. I'm saying that's why I say maybe this issue is something of another time. You see, the Western method of governance that we have, that was imposed on us to begin with, and which we are now practicing. So those Western ideas that we have brought in, to me, appear to be doing more damage to us than if we had made our own to evolve.
To evolve.
Yes, we will have been better off.
Homegrown.
But, yes. But as things are now, because of the level of poverty, not just poverty, material poverty, but poverty of ideas, poverty of integrity. Those who ought to constitute vibrant opposition, they may do, but when they are in it, so many of them, I'm not saying all of them, when a carrot is thrown at them, there may be, you can see a change of attitude. It's happening.
Compromise.
Yeah, a kind of compromise. So it's happening. So, which is what the point I'm trying to make here is that advocating for strong opposition in that sense is not in itself a solution to the problem.
Okay.
Part of it, if not the major part, is that those whom the people have entrusted with the mandate should endeavor to deliver.
And if they don't?
Oh, yeah, there should be consequence. And that's where the issue of mobilizing the people properly, educating them, that's where it comes in.
Most people don't even know that there's a legislative arm at the local.
Exactly, that's the thing.
Most people don't know.
So, you know, that is that kind of challenge.
Everybody's focused on the chairman.
That kind of
What if you lose the chairman and you have all the councillors and you have the legislators? Don't you think you have some power in a democracy?
Yeah.
Those are some of the education we're talking about. That people
and you don't forget that is not exclusive to the opposition parties alone. Civil-based organizations, even some of the others. But then the government may remove another. That's part of the problem. That's why I mentioned the issue of imposition of Western ideas of governance on us. So I mean, there are many dimensions to this matter. In the course of programs on 7024, there are areas that we need to be talking about, since this station is interested in really changing the psyche of the people with a view to bring real development to the society.
We want to thank you very much for coming on the program, sir. Thanks for honoring our invitation.